we did two unique research projects. Project number one was a 21-country comparison of prostitution policies in Europe. The second project is a detailed comparison, very detailed to the level of local policy of Austria and the Netherlands. So you have a comparison across 1.5 centuries, almost 2 centuries. You have a comparison across 21 countries. And what we find is 3 things. First of all, no policy has aimed at prostitution, aimed at regulating prostitution, has ever managed to affect the prevalence of prostitution. Differently put, whatever policy you unleash on prostitution, it doesn't have much effect on the number of sex workers in a particular country or city. Prostitution is of all times and all places. The second outcome is that there is an effect of prostitution policy. It is not without effect, but the effects are mostly on the work situation and the civil rights of sex workers. Now, sadly, most of these effects are negative. What we see over and over and over again, and that includes countries like the Netherlands that have started out in the early 2000s with a policy that was sex worker friendly, we see that it drifts towards a situation where sex workers' civil rights are eroded. So the most important negative effect, as I said, is on labor rights. So in almost every country, and this has been documented both in our research but also in a brilliant study by the ICRSE, that's the European umbrella organization of sex worker advocacy organizations. In almost all countries you see that sex workers are exploited. So many sex workers are migrants, and many immigration laws sort of don't allow sex workers or other migrants too, particularly lowly educated migrants, don't allow many opportunities for employment and often tie the migrant to a particular employer, which of course then immediately leads to exploitation. If you look over the 150 years in which those 21 countries have developed a policy towards prostitution, not a single instance we have found where that change was driven by evidence, by data. It was always ideological. So most of the time it was a regime change, a different party, or the transition from the monarchy to communist rule. But very often it was just a new politician with another idea who then managed to convince other political parties in the country to follow him. It was mostly him. But the story is that prostitution policy is a form of morality politics, and that has all sorts of negative, difficult and pernicious effects on both the formulation and the implementation of prostitution policy.